Guys, welcome to Soma Vedic Astrology channel. Today we will look at the story from Karma Vipaka Samhita for Shravan Nakshatra Pada 3, and in the second half we will understand the themes related to this Pada. But before that, please like, share and subscribe to not miss any future updates. Long ago there lived a Brahmin in the city called Kashmir. He was famous by the name of Khanda Sharma. Brahmin's wife's name was Ganga. She was very karkasha in behavior. She did not tolerate her husband's words or promises. The wife and Brahmin both seemed to do the job of selling and always sold ghee, oil, milk, and jaggery. They also sold horses, bulls, leather, metal objects daily and constantly did a lot of expenses. In this way, entire stage has passed, and when the Brahmin grows old, he dies. With the permission of Dharmaraja, the messengers of Yamraj throw him into a hell called Kardam for 60,000 years, and he suffers pain there. After coming out from hell, he gets the form of sheep or wolf, then in the form of a donkey, then in the form of frog, and after this he attains the human birth in Madhya Desha or middle country, and is blessed with wealth and grains, but is devoid of sons and daughters. He had to marry the same woman from the previous birth and has got the disease of Vayu, which is windy diseases. Because in his previous birth he had renounced the religion of Brahmin, and hence he is sonless and his wife is dead. The remedy which is been told is to donate one-sixth part of household wealth to a Brahmin, to chant 10,000 times Gayatri Mantra, chant 1 lakh chants of Om Namah Shivaya, offer one-tenth part in Havan, Tarpan, and Marjan, and then eat ghee kheer with devotion, to feed 50 Brahmins, to give dakshina or donation as per your capacity, and to take bath in Prayagji along with your wife in the month of Magha. Fill petha and coconut with 5 gems and donate that in the middle of Gangaji in the with the proper rituals. And after this, once lineage increases, all the diseases are destroyed, especially the windy diseases, and the barren woman gives birth to a son. Now, this is the literal translation of the story from Karma Vipak Samhita. Now let us understand the story in a deeper meaning, but before that let us understand the minor elements which is mentioned in the story. First, let us understand the location which is mentioned, which is Kashmir. Kashmir, also known as Casperia, Kashir, is derived from the word ka, which means water, and shimir, which means moistureless. Basically, it is a place formed after draining of a lake of Rishi Kashyapa. Kashmir is a region located in the northernmost portion of India. It is a valley that lies between the great Himalayan and Pir Panjal mountain ranges. Himalaya means the abode of snow. Pir Panjal is derived from due to a saint who lived and died on that pass. Okay, and Panjal is also derived from the deity of Panchala. So Kashmir is a popular place for snow, cold weather, and is a valley basically between the two mountains. It is also famous or known for adventure sports, skiing, trekking, river rafting, gondola rides, winter sports, mountain climbing, paragliding, bird watching, and for boat rides, where this boat is called as shikara. Kashmir is also a holiday destination where people come to chill, relax, unwind, and to take a breather from stressful and hectic life. So, places, regions, locations which could be a holiday destination, hill stations, or places which have snowy or cold weather in general can be linked to this pada. Places, roads, regions, societies with the name Freya, chill, snow, frost, Arctic, glacier, winter can be also called as potential locations. The mention of cold location for this pada also represents a lack of warmth and emotions in this time period, when this time period gets activated of the planet which is sitting in this pada. regions, houses, of the chart in which it is placed. And the person who is linked to this pada will also be someone who could appear very cold and distant, and someone who lacks warmth and emotions. Kashmir also has cuisines which is based on mutton and lamb meat also. So places which has similar themes can be connected to this pada. Now, Kashmir is derived from the name of Rishi Kashyapa and was known to be land of Kashyap Rishi, and it is also based on the Kashyapa mountains there in the north. So, places, roads, regions, societies with the name Kashyap in it can be potential locations. Kashmir is known to be a heaven or a paradise on earth due to breathtaking locations, heavenly beauty, pretty landscapes, valleys, beautiful lakes, snow capped mountains. So, places, regions, societies, roads, commercial establishments with the name heaven or its synonyms such as Jannat, heaven, utopia, idyllic, fairyland, nirvana, Zion, Arcadia, Elysia, Eden, Shangri-La, Swarg, Amar, Vaikunt, Himlan can be potential locations. If the fourth lord is in this pada, clearly one's home would be seen as heavenly to an extent that people shower praises for your home. Kashmir is also called as Switzerland of East or Venice of the East. So places like Switzerland, Venice can also be linked to this pada. Kashmir is also known to produce various poets, philosophers, artists. Kashmir is depicted in various films to be very poetic and a heavenly place. So people living there also historically are known to be skilled into knitting pashmina shawls, knitting silk carpets, rugs, kurtas, which is traditional Indian dress for women, and for pottery. Kashmir is also famous for export of this luxury products such as pashmina shawls, woolen carpets, traditional carvings, traditional wood carvings, Kashmiri sweaters, knitting fabrics, silks, chandeliers, saffron spices, and for Kashmiri jewelry, which is a silver oxidized jewelry, and for silverware. So, if 12th lord is connected to this pada, import export work is beneficial. Now, depending on what planet is sitting, or based on that, we can dig down deeper on what kind of products would be beneficial for a native for the purpose of import and export related business. Kashmir is called as the apple state of India and is famous for apple farms. Kashmir is also famous for tulip gardens and houseboats. So, places, locations, regions associated to apple farms, apple name, production of apple on a large scale can be linked to this pada. Places associated to tulips and the name tulip can be linked to this pada. People living on houseboats, ships, movable homes instead of regular immovable homes on ground can be linked to this pada. Kashmir has three major rivers: Sindh, Indus, and Jhelum River. Jhelum means pure, cold, snowy water. Chenab means moon colored water. So, basically, three important rivers flow through this place. And Shravana Nakshatra symbol is also three footsteps. So, the number three becomes very important with this nakshatra and this pada. Now, these are some positive things that we have discussed till now regarding to Kashmir. There is also a dark side of the location because Kashmir kind of struggles with identity issues because of long standing partitional and territorial disputes between India and Pakistan, which is still not resolved till date. Kashmir also is divided into, is a basically the portions of Kashmir is divided into three major countries, which is India, Pakistan, and China. And even after being praised for heavenly beauty, peace is something which is missing in this location due to constant violent activity, because of it being a military area, due to unrest, time and again due to disputes. So if you see, even the real life location here is getting divided into three parts, and Shravana Nakshatra symbol also is three footsteps. So clearly themes of division into three can be seen here even in real life, right? Locations linked to this pada would be beautiful and heavenly, but at the same time it would be very cold and unemotional, and would have lack of warmth and lack of peace and happiness. It is kind of a paradoxical situation. Themes of property, regional, territorial disputes is also linked to this pada, especially if sixth lord gets involved. Then an infinite time for this regional or territorial or property disputes going on and on and on for a very long period of time can be linked to this pada. Due to the dispute situation in this location, communication medium also gets cut off, so that the unrest could be stopped, right? So Shravana's symbol is ears, hearing, okay, which is important organ needed for communication. So afflictions here can show communication issues, and even in real life we can see the communication gets cut off a lot of times in this location because of the unrest. So how the nakshatra themes, is getting blended even in the region which is mentioned in this story. It's literally so true. Now, Kashmir also has a history of mass exodus of the native residents of that location, like Kashmiri Pandits and Saraswat Brahmins. So, a place, region, locality with a significant history of mass exodus, entire community going into exiles, displacements, rehabilitation, relocation of all the natives, regional natives, for economic reason, themes of escaping tyranny, all these can be linked to Shravana Nakshatra Pada 3. The person or the main character in the story is originally stated to be a Brahmin. Now, before analyzing the Varna or the caste part, please understand that discussing anything related to caste is a sensitive topic, and none of the discussion intends to hurt any sentiments. We will be merely discussing the caste part to understand the story better. The person is mentioned to be a Brahmin. Brahmins were the learned or the priestly caste in the ancient time. Brahmins were initiated via sacred thread ceremony. Their duties included to actively learn the subject matter, to understand the concepts, and to become expert in Vedas, Shastras, or the educational pursuits that they have taken part in. Brahmins served in the royal king's court as advisors or tax collectors. Most of their time was spent in learning, educating, teaching. They were the learned class people who pursued education. They were the people who had thirst or hunger for sacred knowledge or knowledge in general. The end goal was to attain the highest spiritual knowledge. Duties included performing all kinds of religious functions and religious events. Some of the religious functions included Ashwamedha Yagya, officiating a prince into kingship, sacred thread ceremony, performing homas, yagyas, oblations, fire sacrificial rituals, performing puja rituals, ideal worship, performing shraddha or the death rituals of the deceased, rituals related to funerals, cremations, officiating wedding ceremonies, rituals related to conception of child, child's naming ceremony, child's first feeding ceremony. Okay, so these are the things or the duties which was mostly associated to the Brahmin or priestly caste. Now, there was a Guru Sishya Parampara which was also followed in the ancient time. The duty of the Brahmins was to preserve all kinds of knowledge that they know of, and to pass it on to the next generations, and to continue one's tradition. They were the ones who shared the knowledge rather than hoarding it or keeping it as a secret. They had to identify worthy or talented candidates, the ones who won't be greedy, cunning, and would use the knowledge in negative sense. And if they cannot afford, and if the kids cannot afford, then providing them with scholarships, especially the talented ones, Sharing of knowledge was done via Guru Shishya Parampara, which translates to master disciple or teacher student tradition. It was a way of learning where a guru, teacher, or a professor taught Vedas, prayers, scriptures, wisdom, knowledge, and guidance via storytelling to the disciples, students, or people in general. Generally, this happened in gurukuls where students or disciples used to live and contribute to the work of the gurukul apart from doing the theoretical study. The duty of the Brahmins was to impart knowledge and to train the students and disciples to such a level that they become master of the subject and even surpass their own gurus. Now, what was generally taught? The focus was basically on holistic education, including physical, mental, and spiritual training. The disciples were trained in Sanskrit language, Vedic literature, Vedas, Shastras, Upanishads. They were also taught grammar, proper pronunciation of the shlokas, diction, poetry, songs, correct way to chant mantras, magic spells. Topics related to spirituality were taught, subjects related to arts, culture, music, singing, dancing, astrology, occult knowledge, governance, politics were taught. Apart from this, physical skills such as archery, horsemanship, warrior skills, governance skills, especially to the Kshatriya or the royal class, were taught all of these things. Apart from this, artistic skills were also taught. The disciple had to attentively listen to the knowledge imparted by the Guru and interpret it to the best of his or her ability. Critical thinking was taught. The disciples also completed daily chores of self and of Gurukul, which gave the kids the flavor of living independently in a real life world. The focus in Gurukuls was not just theoretical knowledge but to prepare the disciples for the real world by giving them practical knowledge. Holistic personality development was a major thing which was taught. The duty of the disciples was to be very respectful towards their teachers and gurus and mentors and to commit to dedicated learning to their best of their abilities. Disciples or students also had to give guru dakshina or donation to his or her guru or teacher as a token of appreciation or compensation for the hard work of the guru or teacher. There was generally not a fixed price of it, and it was on the disciple to pay as per his or her own capacity, as the disciples came from diverse background economically. Some were rich, some were poor, so they paid as per their capacity. So this was generally the teacher or the mentorship ability of the person or the Brahmin or the main character. Now, apart from this, there was a Brahminical lifestyle which had to be followed by the Brahmins had to have a strict and a disciplinary lifestyle in all aspects of life, and if they did not follow that, then it was looked down upon at that time. And if major rules were broken, then some of them were also outcasted by the society. Now, some rules included, first, regarding food habits, they had to stick to strict vegetarian diets and had to abstain from eating meat and non-vegetarian food. They had to abstain from gambling, drinking wine and alcohol, smoking, drugs, and other toxic substances which could be harmful to the body. They had to abstain from adultery and prostitution. They generally did not have elaborate dressing sense. The dressing sense was rather minimal, simple. They married two women generally of the same caste, and other caste was also allowed. There is in depth, there is a lot of things. I'll just give a general overview. If they married someone from other caste, it was looked down upon, but in certain circumstances it was allowed. Brahmins had to follow a celibacy lifestyle before marriage and had to follow monogamy. and even intercourse was meant for only for the purpose of procreation and not for the purpose of pleasure. They had to be moral, they had to follow the life of non-violence and not harming humans or animals. Neither they can make weapons or sell poison or sell harmful substances which could destroy people. They had to overcome the illusion and the Maya aspect of life and had to live a life of detachment. They had to learn to lead a disciplined life, to learn to control their senses, control ego, anger, lust, and to practice mental restraint. They were the ones running after knowledge and learning, and they had to teach rather than run behind money and worldly pleasures of life. Some ascetics, yogis did intense form of meditation, yoga, austerities, and penance to achieve the next spiritual state. It is a pursuit of going to advance into the spiritual world rather than running behind money. Basically, one had to live a pure sattvic life. Killing a Brahmin was considered gravest of the sin at that time, because metaphorically speaking it meant death of knowledge and wisdom and rise of ignorance. Historically, Brahmins were targeted first at the event of any foreign invasion by colonizers, conversion groups, because Brahmins became the backbone of the religion and Vedic way of living. While Brahmins were respected by all people, they were also vilified after the entry of foreign invaders who tried to create a sense of imbalance or a state of unrest so that they can succeed in their operations of territorial invasion. Hence, Brahmins were vulnerable sections of the society because they were targeted first and became the victim of mass killings, vilification, massacre, which generally led to death of Vedic knowledge. Hence, preserving traditions, knowledge, culture was such a difficult task at that time, especially due to invasions, attacks, forceful religious conversions. Now let us talk about Brahminical earning sources. Now Brahmins at that time did not earn much per se, but since sharing knowledge was considered very respectful, they were given lavish donations or generous gifts in the form of agricultural produce, wealth, housing, land for temples, cows, and other resources as compensation for their work of spreading the sacred knowledge. This was given to them by the Kshatriya class kings, wealthy warriors, wealthy patrons. It was also given by other castes, but mostly led by the royals. But the true wealth for the Brahmins was not the money related wealth, but knowledge and wisdom. Brahmins were also generally exempted from paying taxes to the king. Brahmins were generally not allowed to teach for wages or salaries unless one was in a very distressed situation. Hence, getting donations or gifts was the way they ran their house. Brahmins were not the ones who were expert in physical work or unskilled labor work. Physically, they were not strong. Their strength was knowledge. They won't be able to do any kind of physically laborious work such as farming. And even if you see today, schools, universities are run based on the endowment funds, which include donations from wealthy people, elite class people, and ex students, and in the form of non-profit organizations or trusts. Now let us see some Brahmin related careers, which is rishis, sages, gurus, mentors, teachers, professors, pandits, purohits, advisors, counselors, court advisors, astrologers, spiritual leaders, ascetics, philosophers, intellectuals, subject matter experts, scholars, intellectuals, researchers, lawmakers, doctors, accountants, any kind of white collar job which requires a specialized degree, engineers, experts of a specific field, peshwas, ministers in judiciary, temple managers. The main character is originally a Brahmin but is doing the work of Vaishya. Let us understand about the Vaishya caste now. Now, Vaishya can be majorly divided into two castes, first being a business or a merchant caste, and second being a farmer or creative caste. Let us understand each of this subcaste one by one. Let us see up first about the business or merchant caste. A Vaishya person is someone who is in the pursuit of wealth and money. This is a person who is generally known to be very clever, sometimes shrewd, financially literate, knower of how money works, one who understands how economy works, has business acumen, is a risk taker, is hardworking, is frugal, and one who toils day and night to accumulate financial assets and wealth. They usually accumulated wealth via trade, business, merchandise, entrepreneurship, buying and selling various type of items. In old times they bought and sold goods, okay, food items like jaggery, rice, juice, oil, grains, animals such as horses, goats, birds, cows, bulls, textiles, metal parts, goods, products, getting right, basically this is what they sold. And there was an exchange of goods and products with gold and money in return, right? So in old times they usually traveled and migrated to distant places or foreign locations to sell these goods and products, and their income was the profit that they earned via this trade. While traveling to distant lands, they also learned the local languages of the foreign lands for smoother business operations. They had source warehouses where the products and the goods were kept, and when they traveled they used ox carts in which they had all the produce and items to be sold. In modern day it could be the trucks and other form of transportation mediums used to transport goods. The richer merchants at that time had even can even hire staff to work for them. However, business is something which is obviously not considered as stable or a steady source of income like a job. It is considered more risky, and one has to experience ups and downs from time to time when being in a business field. In ancient time, a Vaishya or a merchant generally took loans to expand his business. He took loan from goldsmith in exchange of collateral such as gold ornaments, agricultural produce, or unique artistic products. Goldsmith can also be equated to modern day banks, bankers, and the even the goldsmith in current time. Vaishyas or merchants were the ones who had to contribute certain portion of their income as taxes to the king's treasury department, and king can be equated to modern day governments. A Vaishya also had the duty to not be overly greedy and to be part of charitable and philanthropic pursuits and to donate to the weaker sections of the society. Now the merchant class people had to learn certain important business related skills. Their strength was the practical business skills that they learned rather than the theoretical knowledge based careers or laborious career or physical strength based careers. The business skills that they learned were the negotiation, leadership, communication, social, public speaking related skills, problem solving related skills, finance, resource, inventory management, team management, customer service on how to deal with customers, cracking deals, skills to increase profits and decrease losses, delegation of work, conflict resolution, skills related to production of goods and services, making strategies, forecast on which product will work in the in the market and which product will not work in the market, skills related to how a company or an organization works in general, duties of different departments, revenue, profit, losses, cash flows, maths, arithmetic, accountancy, fast calculation, and knowing what the competitor is doing, and being abreast of the major developments in the business field. All these are the major skills which they had to learn. and be an expert of. Now there was also codes and ethics in business as well to be followed, and if the codes and ethics in the business if was not followed at that time, then it was looked down upon. Okay, so things that were encouraged when doing a business was to do a business with utmost honesty, integrity, fairness, right, and in a righteous manner. Paying one's due taxes to the king or the modern day government was encouraged, and donating portion of their wealth to the weaker sections of the society was encouraged. Things that were looked down upon in ancient time was cheating customers via adulteration of food items or weighing scale scam for selfish intentions. Deceptive tactics to cheat or loot or to fool customers were looked down upon. A bankrupt merchant was also looked down upon. Doing any form of unfair or unethical business practices such as bribery, discrimination of workers, or discrimination of customers, adulteration, financial misconduct, tax evasion, insider trading, worker exploitation, poor working condition or unfair pay for one's staff, termination of workers for no major reason were all looked down upon. Fraudulent accounting, misleading or false advertising and marketing, funds embellishment, environmental pollution, anti competitive practices, cartel fixing prices, abusing one's market position, all of this is looked down upon. Code of conduct and ethics in business was also considered very important at that time. Now Vaishya or merchant class related careers can be any careers linked to commerce or finance related fields, money lenders, landlords, banking field, working in online marketplace portals, door to door merchants, working in stalls in a market, shopkeepers, retailers, wholesalers, kiosk or department store owners, having shops to sell oil, food items, fish, meat, grocery, animals, spices, clothes, etc. Working in a marketplace like scenario, it could be a physical marketplace or a stock exchange kind of a marketplace. Okay, trading could be physical trading via trading items in a shop or trading stocks in a stock market. Business and business management, entrepreneurship and economic ventures, tax collectors, accountants, merchandising, money and resource management. So this was all about the merchant Vaishya caste. The second subcaste here is the farmer caste, farmer Vaishya caste. So a Vaishya basically also means a cow herd. They were also the ones who took care of the kingdom's various animals such as cows, elephants, horses, and their maintenance and upkeep was their responsibility. They raised these animals for because some of them were used in wars, and also for the byproducts like meat, eggs, wool, dairy and other products. A farmer is also a person who produces or creates crops from scratch in the farmlands. They grow crops, fruits, vegetables, rice, grains, livestock such as cattle, seafood, dairy, poultry, etc., etc., for the people of entire kingdom. Farmers basic duty includes crop management, preparing the soil, planting the seeds, cultivation, irrigation, watering the plants, applying fertilizers, pest control, harvesting, taking care of the livestock by feeding them, giving them proper vaccinations, giving hygienic and clean and safe place to stay, maintaining all the farm related equipments and warehouses. Apart from this, the duty of farmer also includes to use sustainable practices to conserve soil fertility and to conserve the environment when producing crops for the benefit of the society. A Vaishya is someone who raises plants, animals, and makes a living out of it. Farming was and is still not an easy job. It is a full outdoor work, quite laborious, intensive, toiling on a day to day basis. time and weather dependent. Market demand of the produce, it is dependent on that as well. And yet, even after putting so much of hard work, the income from the farming is still unstable and unpredictable due to it being hugely weather dependent. Okay, basically it shows a factor of luck is at play here. Solely depending on farm income is not reliable and not sufficient in uh, at that time and even in today's day and age. So generally farm income is not considered as stable source of income, which is why all governments across all the countries in the world have various benefits, exemptions, everything given to the farmers. Farming is not only the done for the purpose of generating income, it has a very bigger purpose to produce food to feed the citizens of the country, which is also very important thing to do for sustaining life on earth, isn't it? Now modern day farming related careers can be working in plant nurseries, greenhouse, vineyards, working in companies making tractors, farming based equipments, running mills, farmland management, food scientist, agriculture engineer, field trips, plant and soil related experts, gardening, renting farmlands for growing crops, for solar power generations, for outdoor wedding ceremonies, or for parties. Now, this was the farmer caste, and the third subcaste here is the creative caste. So, apart from farming, earning money from creative work can also be linked to Vaishya caste. So, musicians, authors, craftsmen, artisans, artistic work such as photography, digital media, creators, script writers, bakers, musicians, metal workers, textile production can also be seen as part of Vaishya caste. Let us understand about the name of the main character. The main character is known to be famous by the name Khanda Sharma. There are many meanings of Khanda. Let us see that one by one. Now, Khanda is one of the five main types of tal or rhythm in the musical composition. It is a unit of measurement of time in music. So, people's places associated to or based on the musical notes, music, musical tunes, arrangement of music, musical instruments, songs, poetry, rhythm, lyrics, cluster of lyrics can be linked to this pada. Let us see some Hindi and some English names for example. So, Hindi names such as Swara, Surili, Sarang, Sargam, Surdas, Shravya, which means a good listener or it is a musical tone, Shruti, Swarit, Sashwat, Sangeeta, Sarangi, Sitara, Madhu, Madhur, Kabir, Kalyan, Kalyani, Kajri, Kavya, Kirtan, Kaishik, Kedar, Vani, Vrinda, Veena, Beena, Bansi, Pindish, Dhwani, Bhairavi, Geet, Gitika, Geeta, Nishad, Arohi, Asavari, Alap, Asavari, Arav, Malhar, Mohan, Lalit, Vibhas, Rag Hemant, Ragini, Rachna, Rishabh, Rachit, Ghazal, Purvi, Nazam. Okay, and ranks of music such as Nayak, Pandits, Ustads, all this can be linked to this pada and to the keyword khanda. English names such as melody, rhythm, verse, psalm, chorus, hymns, stanza, tune, rhapsody, cadence, harmony, harper, lyric, jazz, carol, piper, Daniel, Reed, Louis, Piper, Apollo, Fernando, etc. can be linked to khanda and to this pada. The next meaning of khanda is raw sugar. This kind of shows the themes of sweetness. If ascendant in this pada, then person is known to be a sweet and kind personality. If second lord of speech is in this pada 3 of Shravana, then the person is known to have sweet honey like voice. If sixth lord of diseases with affliction is placed in this pada, then it can give illness related to sugar, sweetness, such as diabetes. So, seventh lord connected to this pada can show themes of owning or working in a business linked to sweets, candies, toffees, desserts, bakery, and cake shops. People with names based on sweetness can be linked to this pada. To name a few Hindi names such as Madhu, Mishri, Mishti, Surili, Honey, Shahad, Makaran can be linked to khanda. The next meaning of khanda means having gaps or breaks. Gaps or cracks here means that a person is able to see through the cracks of the rules and the regulations of the society. It kind of shows a state of being where one could be falling apart and is getting broken and broken into pieces due to every difficult situation that comes into his life. And which is why the person is desiring an entry of a hero in his life to come and to gather him and to stick all the broken pieces of his life together back again. If connected to the second house, second lord of face, person might have gaps in the teeth. If afflicted, then themes of break in voice or losing voice, stuttering, stammering could be seen. If connected to 10th lord of career and work, then the person might have career gap or event of taking break from work or some events related to breaks and recess time. If connected to fourth house or fourth lord of home and real estate, then there could be gaps and cracks in the walls of one's home. If connected to seventh house, seventh lord of spouse and partners, it might mean partner and you probably having a significant age gap. If connected to sixth house or eighth lord or sixth lord of accidents and sudden events, it might mean getting limping or crippled due to accidents. If connected to fifth lord of romance or seventh lord of spouse in afflicted condition, can show breakups, heartbreaks, and themes of we were on a break. If well placed 12th lord of foreign lands is connected to this pada, then it can show breaking some kind of world record and rising up the ladders. If afflicted, can show broken dreams. If third lord of communication is connected to this pada, then it can show breaking some kind of news or information, could be working in news or broadcasting related, YouTube or any kind of these kind of things. Khanda also means valley, which valley between the mountains, and valley is also a form of gap between those mountains. And the location mentioned in this pada in the story of Karma Vipak Sanhita is also Kashmir, which is also a valley. So general meaning is something getting damaged due to being broken due to some tough scenarios. Now, khanda also means something which is broken, divided, or partitioned. So, example could be partitioning of a region or a country. Location mentioned for this pada even has a long standing history of partition related issues. So, affliction to this pada, if connected to fourth house of real estate, it becomes difficult. For one's property, disputes related to property. If it is connected to eighth lord, eighth house, then inheritance related partition issues could be seen. Khanda also means gathering of people or crowd or fans, which in this sense means that person has the ability to gather crowd because people want to listen to you. This pada is about a desire to create a legacy where crowd or fans remember you even after your death, a desire to be seen and to be heard by an audience, a desire for recognition and acknowledgement. Khanda also means movement of feet. So, depending on which planet is sitting in this pada can show interest in dancing. The symbol of Shravana is also 3 feet. If connected to 8th Lord, it can also show a study related to the forensics, related to analyzing the footprints, analyzing prints in general, backtracking someone's footprints to understand the true nature of crime. Khanda or skanda also means shoulders. So that kind of represents a person who is carrying a weight of lot of responsibilities on his shoulder. Khanda also means a royal or a magical sword, especially a double edged sword or a dagger or a knife. Let us first understand why the sword is used. Sword is a weapon with sharp edges, and sword is generally used to defend or to attack. It is a weapon which can be used to save yourself or to destroy others, to break, to cut, to divide, or to destroy, or to partition something, or to create a boundary is general themes which you could see during this time when this time period is activated. This person could be like a swordsman who is trying to cut through the difficult situations of life, who is trying to fight oppositions and enemies during this period of time. Ninth lord of long journeys, if connected to this pada, can show journeys cut short due to being incomplete. A sense of incompleteness or feeling of incompleteness in this is a theme of this pada. Sword is also a metaphoric representation of interest in some form of martial arts. Metaphorically, interest could mean interest in karate, boxing, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, especially if it gets connected to Mars or the third lord. Sword is also a representation of one's inner courage and importance of honor in person's life. Now the sword here also kind of represents one's journey here to discriminate between what is true and what is false, and cutting the false and progressing towards gaining the wisdom during this time period. Sword or knife or dagger also might represent someone tricking or betraying you or backstabbing via the means of deception and trickery. Sword is also one of the objects which is carried by Lord Yama, god of death. Khanda or Khadga is also a ceremonial sword used to sanctify the spaces and objects in temple rituals. The tarot card Suit of Swords is also linked to anxiety, facing difficult truths of life, and learning from the painful lessons. So, all this can be linked to Khanda or the main character. Now, Khanda is mostly not a single sword, but it is kind of a double edged sword, okay, which kind of represents events or situations happening in your life, which would be a mixed bag. It would have both positive as well as negative consequences at the same time. Okay, the life would not be like all negative or all positive. It will be a mixed bag containing both positive and negative events, especially when the planet sitting in this pada, the time period of it gets activated. So example of a mixed or double-edged sword is like using a social media which will connect people, but it will also will invade your privacy or harm your mental health, or someone will propagate false propaganda against you. You working on building your legacy which will bring fame to you, but then it is also going to invade your privacy and you will not be able to do certain things which you were able to do in the past. Example could be if connected to the fourth house or this pada, then it could mean you are working from home, which means you are getting the liberty, flexibility, ability to be close to your family, to work at your own sweet time. But it will also give you a sense of loneliness and isolation and being locked up in isolated place, and boundaries of work and home could get blurred. So in this way it would be kind of a double edged sword kind of a thing. But now khanda here in this pada more of represents a broken sword, okay, which means difficulty in creating boundaries or difficulty in creating partitions, themes of boundaries getting blurred. So if connected to fourth lord, then property disputes related to boundaries, like where the neighbor is saying no, this is my boundary, you are saying no, this is my boundary, the boundary getting blurred, partition related issues would be there. A broken sword also kind of represents inability to use a weapon at the time of need, or to tackle situation without the need to be violent. Okay, you cannot be violent with a broken sword, right? So even if you would want to do something aggressive, this is a time period where you will not be even be able to aggressive, because your sword is broken. A broken sword also represents downfall of an authority or a powerful person. Okay, we will see this in the Bali story when I'll make that video in the future. Getting defeated in a battle, but the defeat is for one's own benefit, because this defeat is ultimately going to bring you closer to God. A broken sword also represents a person who has been wounded or hurt due to his life circumstances. It could be physical or emotional hurt, shows a damaged person due to personal or professional struggles. Khadga also kind of represents a rhinoceros, which is an animal. Apart from this, Skandha is a god of war, and different names for Skandha is Skanda, Subramanya, Murugan, Kumar, Shanmukh, Saravana, Kartikeya. It's all the different names of Lord Kartikeya, who is son of Lord Shiva. And Skanda is a deity which is also linked to Kashmir and the ancient Kashmir. Skanda or Kartikeya is also known to be son of Agni, Kritikas, and Ganga is known to be the foster mother of Lord Kartikeya. Lord Indra also got defeated with in the war with Kartikeya once. We will see the stories in detail in the future videos. Skandha is also known to be a trunk of a plant, or a arm or a branch of a tree. Skandha is also referred to a disease which is called as child illness inducing male demons. Now, I do not know what this really means, but it could be linked to some kind of mental illness. Skanda or khandas also means heaps, aggregation, collection, grouping, cluster, or bulk items. So, event with this in this time period could be, let's say, if you are fourth lord of real estate is in this pada, then you could be collecting or grouping your multiple units of real estate. So in this way, things would work out. Now, khanda also represents a piece, a fragment, section, portion, chunk, lump, or a segment. Now, this portion or a piece could be of a poetry, story, real estate, depending on in which house it is getting placed. Let's say if it is getting connected to the second or the 12th lord of investment, it could be in investing in tranches or in chunks instead of doing a full investment. So, example is investing in REITs instead of full investment in a real estate. Okay, REITs is the real estate investment trust where you can own, put a chunk of money to own a small piece instead of owning the entire thing of real estate. So like this we can see for all the other houses. Khanda also means something which is partial or incomplete. It represents getting a feeling of incompleteness due to some of your desires not getting fulfilled. Could be not getting the dream work or the dream location or the desired partner, depending on how it is placed and where it is placed in your chart. Hence, feeling a sense of incomplete or purposeless due to this unfulfilled desire can also be a theme linked to this pada. Khanda also means flaws and deficiencies, or something which is known to be imperfect. So, if sixth lord is getting connected to this pada, then some health issue because of some form of deficiency can be there. Khanda can also be related to fracture and cripple due to some event of accident. Khanda also means chapters of a book, so writing chapters of a book, or being a writer. All poet, lyricist, movie writer, script writer can be a theme as well. Khanda also means laughing or smiling, so themes of comedy, having the rhythm of writing, having that comic timing, all that things can also be seen linked to this pada. Khanda also means work agreements, so some events related to work agreements could be seen. Khanda also means holding spite or grudge on a person, obviously because of having some kind of history or enmity, could be seen. Apart from this, Khanda also means flock of sheep or goats, which could be linked to people related to Kritika and Pushya Nakshatra. Khanda also means ransom money, forceful payments, penalty, taxes, or looting of money from towns or villagers or from weak people by a stronger invader or a stronger enemy. So, themes of having to pay unjustified amount of money and payments due to a terror of a powerful person, or just because of for being forced upon you, could also be a theme connected to the house in which this placement, is there in your chart. Khanda also is linked to octagonal shaped temples, so places, regions, locations where such kind of a temple is there can be a potential location linked to this pada. Now let us see the second character of the story, which is wife Ganga. Let us see the different names which could be linked to Ganga, the general background of Ganga, and then the behavior which is Karkasha, which is mentioned in the story. Let us dig a little into that as well. Now, first, different names of Ganga can be below. Basically, Ganga is derived from the word gam, which means to go or to move or to flow. Basically, it means a reverse movement. So, Ganga means river or she who flows. Ganga descended from heaven, and Ganga river flows in the southeast from Himalayan mountains to the Bay of Bengal. The different names of Ganga is Gamini, which means she who moves or walks, Meghna, which means cloud or fluidity of Ganga river, Mandira, which means temple, melody, house, or dwelling, and all these is linked to this pada also, as we saw. Nikita, which is another name of the river, house, or habitation. Vasundhara, which means Ganga being the mother of eight Vasus, including Bhishma, or the one who is bearer of wealth and prosperity. The next name is Padma, which means lotus. Nalini, which again means lotus and is another name of Ganga river. Jahnavi, which means daughter of Rishi Janu. Bhagirathi, which is another name of river Ganga. Triptaga, which means a river that flows in three worlds or three regions. Alaknanda, which is another name of the river, which also means beauty, happy, and joyous state of mind. Shubhra, which means pure divine qualities or something which is fair white in complexion. Nadishwari, which means goddess or queen of all the rivers. Sursurita or Surdhuni, which is another name of river, and it also means river belonging to the gods. Bhagavati, which means blessed or the divine one. Bhogwati, which is another name of the river when it flows through the Patala or underworld. The next name is Mandakini, which means she who flows calmly. The next name is Bhilangana, which is another tributary of the Ganga river. And the last but not the least is Vishnupadi, which means, coming out of the feet of Lord Vishnu. Now, let us see a short story of Ganga. Basically, goddess Ganga descended on earth in the form of a river to cleanse the souls of the 60,000 sons of King Sagara who were cursed by Kapila Muni. Now, this Kapila Muni cursing the sons of King Sagara, we have seen this story in the previous video. Check it out if you have missed it. Hence, Ganga was brought on earth via the intense penance by King Bhagirath so that she can come on the earth and, liberate those 60,000 suns. So now, when she descended to earth, her flow was so powerful that it was a threat to earth itself. Ganga river flooded the hermitage of Rishi sage Janu in this process. Rishi Janu was in deep meditation, but got very angry, on this. Terrible amount of flow which kind of flooded his hermitage, and he swallowed the whole river. King Bhagirath along with other gods came and requested the rishi to release her, because if she is not released, then the purpose of her birth won't be served. Hence Rishi Janu released the waters of river Ganga from his ears, after which she is come to know as Janavi, or the daughter of Janu. And key here is the river Ganga was released from the ears, and ear is the symbol of Shravana Nakshatra. To control the force or the river Ganga, Lord Shiva caught her in his mated hair and released her in a controlled flow. After which she flowed to the spot of ashes of 60,000 suns and purified them. There is a second birth story of river Ganga, which happened from the left lotus like foot of Vamana avatar of Lord Vishnu. Vamana avatar of Vishnu again is linked to Shravana Nakshatra, due to which Ganga is also named as Vishnupadi, which means coming from the feet of Lord Vishnu. The third birth story of Ganga is where Ganga is the eldest daughter of King Himawat, the king of Himalayas, and Queen Minavati. And Ganga's younger sister is Parvati, who later marries Lord Shiva. Ganga is generally depicted as someone who is fair and beautiful and white in complexion, and her mount is known to be crocodile. Now, Capricorn is the zodiac sign where this pada falls, and Capricorn, is called as Makar in Hindi, which also means crocodile. Ganga in Mahabharat later marries Shantanu and is the mother of eight Vasus, including Bhishma. This story we will see in some other video, because it's a long story. Apart from this, Ganga is also known to be a foster mother of Kartikeya. So themes of fostering can also be linked to this pada. Now, the wife Ganga is stated to be Karkasha in nature. Okay, now this can have many meanings. Let us understand it one by one. First is related to the voice, speech, or tone. The wife has a speech, voice, or tone which could be very shrill, sharp, piercing, screechy, loud, or something which is not pleasant to the ears. Karkasha can also mean someone who is powerful, especially in competitions, debates, battles, or someone with muscular, robust, or hard body. Now, Karkasha can also kind of represents a harsh way of communication. The spouse can potentially communicate harshly. It could be harsh in either words or in actions, which means that the person might be blunt, rude, insensitive, direct in speech, and might not consider the impact of his or her words on other people, and whether the harsh tone will hurt others or not. Person might insult, belittle, degrade, or humiliate others via words or actions due to his or her deep rooted issues of feeling insecure or due to being underconfident. Person might accuse or blame others, could be overly critical and judgmental of others. Again, that might come due to one's own, the person's deep rooted secure insecurities, childhood baggage, trauma, or fear of rejection, or due to anger management issues. The spouse might gossip about other people's character, can possibly have lack of respect, compassion, empathy towards others. This person might also want to win every conversation and can become argumentative, abusive, quarrelsome instead of handling things in a gentle manner, can go to any extent to win the conversation. this person or the spouse who might use constant taunts, sarcasm, cuss words, vulgar speech, mockery to belittle others or to put his or her point. Now, it can mean, in a literal sense, it can mean that. In other sense, it can also mean comedians who can use all these same elements but in a more comedical way to entertain people. Now, this can also be a person, the spouse, who wants to feel in control and wants to dominate others via the means of intimidation or by maintaining an illusionary environment of terror. Now, there is another meaning for this behavior, which could mean that the person is quite modern to her time and is not afraid to voice her opinion. Could be a person who is a rebel, opinionated, and one who challenges the societal norms which dictates what a woman should do or should not do. In earlier times, women were expected to be docile, submissive, and imagine, in earlier time, if someone is voicing her opinions, of that she thinks something different than the rest of the crowd, definitely in earlier times it would not be considered someone as ideal woman or someone acceptable or traditional, but would rather be given some harsh labels, right? So it can also mean that. Now, apart from this, it is also mentioned that the wife, is known to not listen to others. So, someone who does not listen to others or people's perspective and thinks that whatever is in his or her mind is the only correct thing, someone who can be uncompromising, someone who completely dismisses other person's point of views or feelings. That is also what is happening in the story, where the wife is not listening to the husband's point of view or perspectives. Now that we understand the minor elements of the story, let us analyze the deeper meaning of the story. We have already understood the background of the main character being a Brahmin and his nature from his name Khanda Sharma. Khanda, the main character, is stated to have renounced his primary duties of being a Brahmin and instead has taken a money minded route to proceed in life in the pursuit of earning wealth, profits, and money by being a merchant. The main character has the desire of financial security and is focused on being materially successful. It could mean that during this time period, while one wants to follow one's faith, religion, and spirituality, there would be more difficulties or roadblocks in the life to follow the same compared to other people. Circumstances in life would come in a way where you would have no option but to think excessively about money and keep religion, faith on a back burner even after being religious and spiritual. Shravana is the star of learning, counseling, advising, teaching, and the main character is giving up on all that which is considered wrong in the story. The lesson here is not to give up on faith, religion, spirituality, teaching, counseling, advising, and learning in the pursuit of earning money and wealth. While earning money and wealth is good, but one should not ignore one's primary duties for the same purpose. Shravana Padatri Navamsha is a Gemini zodiac sign. Gemini is the sign of trading, dealing with people, doing short distance travel, for selling items, running stores, shops, etc. And the main character is shown to do all of that. So basically, Gemini related careers could be focused during this time period, where one would be interested in entrepreneurship, doing business, short travels, running stores, doing writing, communication related work, dealing with relatives, friends, etc. Mars is stated to be exalted in Capricorn zodiac sign, which gives a strong worth ethic, workaholic industrious and entrepreneurial nature to the main character. Name of the main character is Khanda, which means sword, which kind of represents the fighting ability of an exalted Mars despite tough warlike circumstances. Jupiter is debilitated in the Capricorn zodiac sign. Jupiter is a benefic planet known to be of a giving nature and being generous and being a guru of gods. But because such a benefic planet debilitates in the Capricorn zodiac sign, Capricorn is not the sign of being generous. Okay, instead, it is a sign where one looks for one's own selfish interests and wants to climb up the status ladder, social ladder, career ladder for one's own benefit. The person won't do duty in this time period because it is to be done, but does the work purely to earn money, wealth, and for selfish gains because of Jupiter debilitation. It is a state where a Brahmin or a Guru is went into exile and hence no longer able to do his true duties. Now both husband wife are doing business which is not their core strength. They were Brahmins who ideally should have been in a knowledge based profession but had to change their work line. So during this time period one might switch their work line in a similar manner. There could be a possibility of event of bad luck or penury because Jupiter is debilitated and Jupiter is the planet of good luck, and debilitation gives kind of an event of a bad luck, and you might be forced by life circumstances to adjust your course of your life accordingly by changing the route of work or career. Here you will have to learn to use bad luck to your own advantage. If connected to fifth lord of education, then one might not pursue what one studied during their college. Now, Khanda, the main character and wife are working into selling items, and in the first iteration, they are selling ghee, oil, milk, and jaggery. They are doing work on a daily basis and are putting hard work every day. They have started small with limited items to be sold. Capricorn is the sign of hard work and discipline. Nothing here can be achieved via luck, and one would have to exert all of one's energy to be successful in life in those areas which is governed by Jupiter in your house, especially when you have this combination. Debilitated Jupiter here gives a career oriented attitude, and due to Jupiter debilitation, one has to put thrice the amount of efforts to achieve something which others might have achieved in just a little bit of efforts. There will be no quick wins here. One has to toil every day and have to wait patiently for results. Results will come gradually, but it would be a permanent success. This is the pada of a self made person, so don't rely on any shortcuts or short tricks. Here, gains are via the traditional conservative way rather than shortcuts. You have to do everything on your own. Now, Khanda, the main character, and wife in the next iteration are selling horses, bulls, leathers, metal objects, and that too on a daily basis. This shows that the couple is not taking a break, they are not taking any rest, they are going on and on and on in work. Okay, and when the business flourishes, they are slowly introducing new products in their work and business. They are working for long term stability. They are trying to be successful in business, but via step by step manner, by taking measured steps, measured approach, and by taking a conservative approach rather than risking it all. They are trying to expand cautiously rather than an uncontrolled expansion. While it is not mentioned how much income they made and whether they became rich, what is instead highlighted is that they did a lot of expenses. Jupiter, a planet of good luck and fortune, is in debilitation in Capricorn zodiac sign. So, in debilitation, the power of planet multiplies to 3. Instead of getting normal results, the result gets amplified thrice, be it positive or negative result. Jupiter debilitation in Capricorn seems to give an uncontrolled way of expenditure or mismanagement of money even after working hard to achieve it or even after earning a lot of money. Poor judgments when it comes to money, reckless spending habits can be seen irrespective of earning good money. What is the point of earning good money if you fail to save it and expense all of it? It can also mean being generous to such an extent that nothing is remaining for self at the time of dire situations. It can also mean that one is showing every minute expenses in one's business to reduce one's tax burden. In general, this could be a time period where one would have to bear a lot of expenses in a very short duration of time. Let's say if it is connected to fourth lord of real estate, then expenses could be linked to purchasing real estate, interior decoration, building furniture, but all of this will you would have to be forced to do all at once instead of taking it in a gradual approach. It is stated that the wife does not follow any advice given by the husband. It kind of depicts that both husband and wife could have a very different way of thinking and are coming from a very different background, due to which they don't seem to have a common ground on subjects, and especially the wife is stated to be harsh or blunt. We discussed the behavior of wife in earlier section. This could also probably mean difficulty in marriage, but abandonment or separation is not explicitly stated in the story. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. It is considered a weaker position for Jupiter because either you won't get the right gurus or mentors, or won't get the gurus or mentors on time, when you need them the most, or if you get it, you would not even listen to what they are saying. Ultimately, you will be forced to learn and gain wisdom via your own harsh and bitter experiences and via the hard way, because you probably would not listen to the advice when a guru might be giving it. Afflicted Shravana shows one being a bad listener. Downfall due to not listening to one's gurus, teachers, husband, spouse can be a major theme. Now, what is the result of the actions which is stated? The result of the actions was stated that the person got 60,000 years in Kardam hell. Now, there are multiple types of hell, and the type of hell mentioned for this story is Kardam hell, because story of Ganga is linked to Kapila Muni, and Kapila Muni is the son of Kardam. The main character is said to be born in Madhya Desh in the current birth, and Madhya Desh means the middle country. So any country which is in middle of the world, or a portion which state portion which is in middle of a state like India can be linked to this location. Okay, locations closer to the meridian could be linked to this place. Madhya Desha also means the portion of land between the two rivers, which is Ganga and Yamuna, which is present day Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. Any place which is in the center or heart of the country, city centers can be linked to Madhya Desha. In some text, it is also stated that Madhya Desha as a place is next to the Konkan belt and Sayadri, which could be Pune, Nashik, Kolhapur, etc. Now it is said that the person would get a windy disease. Now windy disease is connected to vata, vayu, airy or windy diseases. Vata is a combination of air plus space or ether. Vata is where people are sensitive to cold weather, and vata basically governs the movements and the processes of mind and body. So example of movement and processes in our mind and body, in a human's mind and body, are breathing, blood flow and blood circulation, waste elimination, joint movements, nervous systems, division of cells, functioning of heart and thoughts in our mind. So vata related diseases would be due to irregularity in the movements and the processes of a human body. Some being right related to waste elimination, difficulty in waste elimination due to being constipated. Related to breathing, it could be breathlessness. Jupiter, which is Representation of oxygen and prana gets debilitated in Capricorn, which means lack of oxygen or prana, which means breathlessness. Okay, palpitations, blackouts, asthmatic attacks, respiratory diseases such as COVID, common cold, TB, asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia, lung cancer, pulmonary fibrosis, um, inhalation of polluted air, smoke, tobacco, exposure to dust, chemicals, or genetic factors affecting nose, throat, and lung related areas can be linked to Vayu diseases or windy diseases. Difficulty in blood flow or blood circulation, poor blood circulation in the body leading to heart ailments, issues related to heartbeats, irregular menstruation cycles in women, sleeplessness can be linked to windy diseases. Issues in joint movements, joint pain, backache, arthritis, club foot, rheumatic disorders can be linked to windy diseases. Nervous system related issues such as anxiety, panic attacks, dizziness, sleeplessness, being a light sleeper, all of these can be linked to windy diseases. It is also stated that there could be a possible issues with childbirth and loss of spouse due to renouncing one's original duties. If you have Shravan Nakshatra Padatri in your chart, please do mention your experiences in the comments section. I hope you guys like the video. It takes immense efforts to put out such videos. Please like and support the channel. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.